Hey friends, this is Michael Bohm with Youth Apologetics Training. Today we're going to take a look at one of the many alleged Bible contradictions in the Bible. My intention eventually is to have a virtual library of MP3s covering as many of the Bible contradictions as I can. Just for the record, there are no contradictions. Every single alleged contradiction in the Bible can be explained away. Today, we're going to explain away one of them. We're talking about the question of how many angels were there at the tomb. When Mary showed up at the tomb, Matthew says there was an angel that rolled back the stone. In Mark, you have a young man at the tomb. In Luke, you have two men. And in John, you have two angels. So what is it? The new atheists love contradictions or alleged contradictions in the Bible. This one you hear all the time, especially from people like Bart Ehrman. And when I hear people like Bart Ehrman bring this up, especially, in particular, Bart Ehrman, I feel that he's being dishonest. And the reason why I say that is I've heard him publicly set straight on this issue on so many MP3 audio debates that I've listened to with him and various apologists. I've heard him set straight on this so many times, and he just continues to shout it from the rooftops as if he didn't hear anything. So either he wasn't paying attention, and I don't buy that for a second, or he's being dishonest. And those are the only two options I can think of. So how do you deal with this? Let's read each of the four scriptures, and then let's see how we can put this together. So Luke 24, verse 4, it came to pass, as they were much perplexed, I love that word, thereabout, behold, two men stood by them in shining garments. So we have two men. John chapter 20, verse 11, but Mary stood without at the sepulchre weeping, and as she wept, she stooped down and looked into the sepulchre, and seeth two angels in white sitting, the one at the head, the other at the feet, where the body of Jesus had lain. Mark 16, verse 5, and entering into the sepulchre, they saw a young man sitting on the right side, clothed in a long white garment, and they were affrighted. So now we have a young man. Matthew 28, 2, and behold, there was a great earthquake, from the angel of the Lord descended from heaven, and came and rolled back the stone from the door, and sat upon it. His countenance was like lightning, and his raiment white as snow. Okay, so this is how you put it together. It makes a lot of sense, guys. It's really not complicated. The Bible is one complete integrated message. Okay, all these different books written by different authors, we're still pulling out the same message, and there are no contradictions. What do we have? We have one account that says one angel, the other says two. Mark says it's a young man. Luke says it's two men. Okay, so first of all, we have the issue of one and two. And I think it's pretty simple. Just like in John chapter 20, verse 11, where it mentions just Mary looking into the sepulchre, you find out from another account there were two Marys. There was Mary and the other Mary. How would you like to be called or referred to in the Bible as the other Mary? But anyway, where there is two, there's also one. Does that make sense? So if you're going to mention two angels, you can also just as easily say there was one. The difference being, in Matthew's account, Matthew is honing in on the one angel that rolled back the stone and was sitting upon it. But when you look at John, John is keying into the fact that there's two angels. Now, one of the angels is more prominent than the other in these gospel accounts. One of them does the speaking. Okay? It would be like me telling you that one dark evening, late at night, while driving home from church, I was pulled over by a police officer, and this woman then aggressively proceeded to question me about what I was doing out so late and what I was up to. I might tell you that story and say that there was a police officer that interrogated me about what I was doing late that evening. I could also tell you a version of the story that two police officers pulled me over because there was another one in the car, and while the one was interrogating me, the other one was shining a flashlight on my two sleeping girls in the back seat and trying to figure out if something was amiss in our car. See, you could just as easily have two differing accounts, one about the prominent police officer who was giving me a really hard time, and yes, this really happened, about what I was doing late at night, and when I mentioned I was coming back from church, she was like, yeah, right. She really did say that to me. Yeah, right. Like, I'm such a troublemaker, guys. I tell you what, I'm such a troublemaker. And meanwhile, there's another police officer looking around in the back of my vehicle, looking for who knows what, and shining flashlights in the eyes of my sleeping children. There were two cops there, but one of them was more prominent. Well, in these four gospel accounts, two of them mention two beings. We'll get to the men and angels issue here in a second, but the other one just mentions one. One of the angels was a little more prominent than the other. Big deal. Where there's two, there's also one. It makes perfect sense. There's no contradiction. Matthew, where it says there is only one angel, it doesn't say, oops, I just said that wrong. It doesn't say there was only one angel. Nothing of the sort. It just says that there was an angel who rolled the stone back and was sitting beside it. Sitting upon it. So anyway, there's that. Now, Luke mentions two men, and they were in shining garments. I think that should have been a dead giveaway that we're talking about something more than men, Bart Ehrman. Okay, so in Luke 24 verse 4, we have two men, and in Mark 16:5, we have a young man. Now, here's what we have to notice here. This is what we have to take note of. Throughout the Bible, angels appear to different people in the Bible as men. Okay, they look just like men. In fact, the Bible even mentions that some of us have entertained angels unaware. Okay, so angels show up as men all the time. To describe them as men, I think is not a stretch, especially when you take note of the fact that in Luke it says two men stood by them in shining garments. I mean, don't you think that should be a dead giveaway? Like, what's up with these guys? You know, they're glowing. Their clothes are like, wow, 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 and they're just shining. Do you like that? Sorry. And Mark even mentions the long white garment. So guys, there's no contradiction here. We have four different accounts. Sometimes these beings are referred to as men, again, with shining garments. All right, dead giveaway. And again, angels throughout the Bible, always often described as men, entertaining angels unaware. And we have the issue of 1 versus 2. And yet again, just to reiterate, where there's two, there's always one. One of the angels was more prominent. One of them was the speaker in this situation. He was the one who was doing all the action. The other one apparently was along for the ride. But that's pretty much it. There is no contradiction. With that, come out to the website, youthapologeticstraining.com. I will be building up a Bible contradiction section. It's going to take a long time, but eventually I want to work through as many of them as I can. And show you guys that we can trust the Bible. The Bible is an integrated whole message. We have 66 books with over 40 different authors written over thousands of years in different countries in the Middle East. And yet the Bible fits together perfectly and has no contradictions. Amazing, my friends. So anyway, come out to the website, and yeah, I would love to talk to you guys there. You can also catch me on Google+, Facebook, and Twitter. And with that, I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.